Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Monday morning. How is everyone doing today? Good morning, Davey. Good morning, Patrick. What is this? So we're getting on the last week of August almost. Summer's almost over, coming up Labor Day. But first, Jackson Hole, Thursday, Friday. So pay attention to that. Not much going on today so far. Market pullback continues overnight. VIX, pretty big gap up. Fed National Activity Index coming in better. At least it's back above zero. What about stocks always go up, Coco? So that's where we sit now. Pretty much red across the board this morning. So we'll be watching to see if a bottoming pattern happens anywhere, but we could easily see some more pullback. Easily, still, we have not hit the major key levels. Good morning, AB. Hey, Davey. Thanks you for the VIX update. Big gap up in the VIX this morning, by the way. Uh, the CME FedWatch tool, big shift from essentially Friday. Now we're favoring the 75 basis point up above 50% again, but this has been trading back and forth or oscillating back and forth repeatedly. Just it was a pretty big jump in that with today's sell-off, and this isn't updated yet, but we are technically after the OPEX on Friday in negative gamma. Good morning, George. So keep that in mind. What does negative gamma mean? It means rallies can be amplified to the upsides and sell-offs can be amplified to the downside. And since if we do go down and moves are amplified to the downside, it tips us more into negative gamma. Remember that. Negative gamma does not mean you only have to go down. It just means it amplifies the moves either way. Remember, after the close today, you got Zoom for all those Zoom people. You also got the Ape shares starting this morning for all you Ape traders. No more comments there. But, do some proper research. A lot of the financial media is talking about it completely wrong. And it is a dilution and everything else, and essentially a stock split. But we're not going to get into that now. So that's where we sit right now. Remember, we triggered the wedge on Friday, continued the pullback. We also closed into the rotation zone, and that favors a pullback towards the bottom of the rotation zone, which we are doing now. So we got daily cycles heading to the bottom. So that means we can start looking for another short-term bounce. Remember, the secondary, once we will get a bounce at some point, whether it happens today or tomorrow or Wednesday. It favors this bounce the first 3 days of the week. And then we'll watch for the secondary reaction, and that will tell us a lot about the underlying strength of the market, especially after hitting that key technical level of the 200. So you think do you think Powell's gonna give a dovish speech at, it's a possibility, at Jackson Hole? Well, then the markets will go to the moon. If he comes out dovish again, it will go to the moon, and then it's just going to make the Fed's inflation battle tougher because you'll have the loosened financial conditions continue. So he's actually doing his own mission harm. Keep in mind you are coming back down to a major support area. So this is the breakout area. Remember, we had this key rally stop in June up here. All right. So right around anywhere between about 41.60 to about 41.80. And we are entering that zone with the bottom of the rotation zone, the 25% pullback, and also down around this 41.56, 41.60 area. You have the prior breakout area from the key resistance in August. So it's trading into a lot of key support. Please do keep that in mind. Does that mean it has to turn around and just rally? No, but the downside gets a little more limited trading into these major support areas unless we see some major momentum. Yes, this is technically a little mini double right here, especially on the 1 hour. That would be a move back above 41.89 into the rotation zone, and you do have this pretty substantial clear path move from the European session. So that would trade back into there. What would we be watching for, at least on the shorter term? That 4203, 4200. And you see that's right at the top of the rotation zone. So you have this little cluster resistance area on any rally. This is your major resistance area, and I'm going to be paying attention to the 4-hour rotation zone. All right, so do mind that. Also, just above that, if this does not trigger and sort of, tries to stabilize it here, you have the declining 4-hour rotation zone, which will reinforce this major resistance area. So on any rally, 4200, 4210 is a major resistance area. Well, if they put that first, then again they're violating their mandates, and then inflation will just stay even get more entrenched, and you're going to cause the overall financial conditions of the country to deteriorate further if you get major embedded inflation. So that's the problem. Then major embedded inflation will crush earnings even more longer term unless you get into hyperinflation. If you get into hyperinflation, then it's all bets off and the market will skyrocket because everything will skyrocket. Good morning, Anissa. But the problem is if they favor the markets now, Coco, at this point, then they will be doing more harm to the markets in the future, which they'll get to the point where they can't bail them out. Also, if we do start getting acceleration, especially below 4160, which we already talked about, that 4160 to 4180 being very key. 4160, if we start getting acceleration below there, then you can watch for that full completion sooner rather than later of that wedge pattern. NASDAQ coming back down right now below the daily rotation zone, still right above the key support from back 9th and 10th of August. So next area I'm watching is about this 12 or 13,000 to about 12,980. If we did break below that, and you have right below that, here's another thing. We have a lot of key support with the NASDAQ right down here. And then you got what's this level? 12,900. And then you got the 50. So right down here, NASDAQ can go a little more. You are trading into some key support areas right down here. With the major one I would be focusing on if we do continue. Remember, the NASDAQ did not have a suitable wedge pattern. It was really ugly and not well formed. But I would really be focusing if we do continue to more substantial pullback to this 12,900 area. Again, daily cycles on the S&P and the NASDAQ into the bottom, but that does not mean you have to bottom today. Weekly still at the top and rolling over. So we'll probably get another cycle up and then a major rollover on the weekly at some point, which will give us a nice topping pattern. Good morning, Josh. We'll get to oil in a second, AB. The Dow now back into the wedge. Remember, closing right at the rotation zone and above the wedge pattern, but now coming down. My major support level on the Dow is 33,100 area at the bottom of this. But you do have support. There is major support coming in between this 33,300 to 33,100. You see back to the June resistance, and then we come back down to the daily rotation zone and the 25% harmonic. Below that, you have sort of a vacuum price back to about 32,835, but the first area I'm really focusing on a continued pullback is this 33,100. There, again, lots of support in here, so I'll watch for. It might not just be smooth selling. It could be some choppier. Again, daily cycles at the bottom. Russell coming back down all the way to the daily rotation zone at this point. on a continued move lower. Major support coming in about 1915 to about 1920. And again, on any bounce move, I know I didn't cover it in the Dow, but watch that 1 hour rotation zone along with key resistance. Let's just get through some more. DAX really falling out of bed. DAX moving back. Let's just take a look at this now. Next key support zone is 33,170, and then 13,170, and then 13,972 will be major. Prior support becoming resistance in harmonics back about 13,370, so that's the area if we do bounce to about, hold on, 13,340 to 13,370. Notes, trying to break below Friday's lows. If we do, there are a couple stopping points right here. Again, I'm watching for a bottoming move between the 117.05 to 118.05. Stopping point is about 117.25 to about 117.19 to fine-tune those levels. In there, resistance at this point, pretty much with everything. This one I'm watching for this 118.09 as the minor. As the minor resistance level. Let's get to crude. Crude rolling down. This is going to be a triple bottom. So that is off the table. Could not. Remember, this is why we've been following the rotation zone also. Also, daily cycles getting to the top. And we were not able to get above the rotation zone. So you see how well the rotation zone is held actually since the end of June. Rotation, spike into it, rotation, 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 rotation. Watching back towards this 86.50 to 85.54 first levels of support. And longer term, we still have that major sell pattern in play. There is a fair amount of support, though, coming in about 83 to 83.70. So if we do break below last week's low, that's going to be some major support area. AMC is not crashing. It's the ape shares, Rich. Remember, and I'm not getting into everything with the ape shares, but don't listen to Kramer. Don't listen to a lot of this crap on CNBC. They're talking about ape shares wrong. Not that I'm a fan of ape shares. It's actually a hidden split and dilution. But you have to add ape shares and AMC together now to get the true corporate valuation. So don't look into that like that. And you know I'm not a fan of AMC, but I don't want misinformation to get out there. Yeah, Natty Gas is breaking out. I was going to hit that next. Natty Gas, strong breakout. Next key target area. We talked about this cup and handle next week, and we have these short-term projections, and I covered some of this yesterday. But the next key areas are this 1020 to about 1032 area for a stop raise. Then the next target area, 1065 to 1070. So please do keep that in mind to the upside. Gold continuous pullback. Dollar index moving towards that 87.5. So that's the next target area, 108.56. I got to pull that other harmonic off. And we'll watch for another topping area up in this. We don't. I mean, technically, these wicks are a aspect of clear path, so you don't have much resistance above this 108.56. Do keep that in mind. We'll do some shorter-term projections after we hit that 87.5. Let's jump to Euro real quick because we've talked about that. Just hit the 87.5 to the downside. So we've filled the probability zone, but I'm still watching for potential further pullback closer to the July 14th lows. If we do break down below that 98.47 is the next major target. The next minor target is 99. And look at the cluster down there about that 98.47 there, 98.50 area. So 99, 98.50 are your next targets if we do break below the lows. Let's jump back to the VIX now. VIX with that gap up, trading against a 25% harmonic. And you are against some pretty significant resistance up here. So if we start getting above, and this isn't necessarily today, but 23.13 to about 23.88, this is a key resistance area where I'll start watching for a VIX topping area and the more significant market bottoming area. I doubt we'll trade back above the open, but if it did, it would be the potential gap fill play. But you have right here, I wouldn't trigger it. Just, you can use your gap harmonics, but keep in mind the key open from back on the 10th. So you wanted, I would not start targeting more of a market rally until we broke back below about 22.28. A more substantial market, not a little mini bounce, a more substantial market rally. Bitcoin, virtually off this little double we talked about yesterday, first and second targets virtually hit. That correction, unless we get the bottom and forming in the NASDAQ, is essentially done. We could be forming a slightly bigger double, which is the higher probability now, but it has not triggered. So do keep that in mind if you're trying to trade Bitcoin, but that would just be a corrective move back for another rollover play, and that would I'd only trigger on a closing basis above 21,795. Tesla, back below that 62.5 so far pre-market, still above the daily rotation zone. I'll be watching to see if we close today below that 62.5 level, about that 877 area, because then it favors a return to the low area around the 9th of March. Yes, the double is still in play, but your key support intraday is about 864. And, you know, with the gap down, if the markets do stabilize a bit, you have the people rush in, so it would be a potential gap fill play. Your major resistance now coming in at 907. Where else do we sit? I'm thinking, what else do we look at? Hello, Lauren. Again, if you're stopping late, you'll have to tune into the replay. So you can't say, I'll just touch on this. Yeah, it looks like this is way down. This is AMC. But you have, and I don't know, they're not trading yet, but you do have to look at your APE shares. APE, AMC Entertainment Holdings Preferred Equity Units. So don't get caught off guard. Once those start trading, you add the valuation together for that. But it's just another sucker play for the AMC holders. Yeah, BBBY back. You know, BBBY is going to go to probably 450 at least again. Next target 754, but it's going to return with its debt restructuring unless they either get bought out or they and they could actually, if they can't find somebody to buy them out or proper debt restructuring, they could declare some form of bankruptcy. Keep that in mind. Let's just peek in at the yield curve also. Remember, we're moving back up, a little pullback now, but that key support coming in about minus 33 basis points. And I'm watching this as a trade for the double. So that is where we sit right now. I already covered Tesla, but essentially your key support 867. On any rally, you got the gap fill, and your major resistance is about 907. And you still technically have another gap to the upside, and that would be above this gap that's forming today. That would be to 908.61. Your major closing support 865. I'm watching for the close below the 62.5. If you come back down and close below the 62.5, I'm targeting a return to the 838 to 851 levels. You close below 838, targeting the possible return, especially to the 760 area on the next major breakdown. Yeah, they did that. Don't get me started on the CEO of AMC, but he did that intentionally. He's pandering to, he's sucking people in to try to buy these. They're actually only slightly preferred, trading ever so hair notch above common, but it's essentially a common dilution. It's all it is, to suck people into owning another ticker so they can refinance stuff. And it's essentially a share issue. So do some proper research into that. And I wouldn't get sucked into that. I know there's not a lot of people who play the meme stocks in here, but is into the daily rotation zone. Again, the only upside thing is if we do get some traction in the S&P and Nasdaq, watch for the gap fill play. Other than that, your key support isn't back till about 166.25 to about 166.75. Also, if it does trade below that's 166.75, I'd be watching closer to the gap fill and your bottom of the rotation zone. The full gap fill from back at the gap at of the 9th of August is 164.92. I'd just focus on that 165 level. All right, that's where we sit. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Again, if you missed any, please do hit the replay button after the open. Also, new Jim Iorio Futures Edge podcast. I posted it this morning. The HD version was processing, so check it out on the YouTube channel. Another wonderful episode of that. Oh, thank you, Dr. Michael. I really appreciate those comments. Yes. We already covered Euro US dollar. Again, really quick with Euro US dollar. I'm watching for a return. We're back at the parity essentially. This is the possible bottoming area statistically, but if you do break below the 99.52 area, the 99, essentially 99 is your next harmonic target. I don't have a bottoming pattern yet. There's this little sloppy mini double, but that would just be a short little bounce pattern. There's no major bottoming pattern yet. I'm doing better. Could still use some more sleep, but I am doing better than I was at the end of next week. Thank you. All right, George is looking forward to the Futures Edge. You are welcome, Ramsafal. You are welcome, Anissa. Hope everyone has a wonderful trading day, and I will talk to everyone after the close. Bye for now.